Hello folks, hope that you're having just a great day today and staying safe in our current environment and that you're enjoying yourselves. Hey, today I want to take a look at another classic science fiction short story for you. This time we'll be looking at Poul Anderson's The Martian Crown Jewels. It is written in the early 30s. It was for you. I'm going to be taking a look at it for you here today. We're going to be taking a deep dive into it. I've read it twice now. I just reread it again yesterday, actually, and wanted to go ahead and review it for you now. In my collection here, which is a sort of a greatest science fiction short stories of all time style of collection, it's one of about 15 or so stories that are in the collection. It only runs, here, I'll take a quick look at the table of contents. It only starts on 212 and ends on 231, so it's a 19-page short story. It doesn't take you that long to read. It was published in the late 50s, in 1958, after the pulp era had died down. Poul Anderson is a very popular and heavily published author in science fiction and fantasy. He's much more published in science fiction, but I would say he's more influential in fantasy. Kind of like Ursula K. Le Guin, who wrote a lot more science fiction stuff, but her Earthsea stuff is probably like one of the like quintessential fantasy works. In a similar way, Poul Anderson has had these Three Hearts, Three Lions, The Broken Sword, which are incredibly influential fantasy works that are still influencing the genre today, even though they were written in the 50s and 60s. And his science fiction work was heavily published, but I can't think of a single one of his science fiction works, whether we're talking about his book Avatar, or something like, Operation Overworld or something like that. I can't think of any of his things out there that really have stood the test of time on the science fiction side of things, like his things. But they're good. Tales of the Flying Mountains is good. Avatar's good. He's a good writer. Who'll get you in. He'll keep you engaged the entire time. But I would never call him I would never say his influences for his science fiction side are as strong as his influences on the fantasy side. That's just who he was as a writer. But let's take a look at Martian Crown Jewels, which is the first science fiction work I've reviewed for you by him. And we'll take a look and see what's happening. We'll start off with a synopsis, and it's brief because it's not the longest story in the world. But basically it's going to be set in Mars, in a future Mars. And there are these Martian bird-like people who live on Mars and who are endemic to Mars that live there. We also have some Venusians too, although they're not part of the story. And they're going to be, one of the main characters is actually going to be a Martian who is a detective. Basically what's happening is that the Martian Crown Jewels have gone missing. And this is a major issue because things aren't particularly friendly between Mars and Earth at this time. And so losing the Martian Crown Jewels after they were loaned for you and they got stolen, it's going to be bad for business for people that are trading and relying on Mars and that sort of a thing. So there's a big issue between the two of them. And then basically what's going to happen is it's basically going to be a mystery to try to figure out what happened to the Crown Jewels. It's going to be written in the style of a Sherlock Holmes. It's set sort of like a Sherlock Holmes in space, a Sherlock Holmes in Mars. What happens if the Martian Crown Jewels got stolen? It's a fun story. And your main character, your main detective, is actually a Martian who has a different way of thinking about things. He also appreciates and has read the Sherlock Holmes stuff and is using kind of that sort of style from Sherlock Holmes in his so he's learned from that sort of style of writing and is using that as a detective on Mars. So that's basically what's happening is that you're going to try to figure out what's happening and put together the Martian mystery of the Crown Jewels. And that's it. It's again 19 pages long. It was a fun story. I really enjoyed reading it, and I've read it now twice. I was not bored for a page. It really draws you in and keeps your attention for the entire time. So if you want to have a murder mystery combined with sort of an almost planetary romance view of Mars, a little less sword and sandal and a little more, hey, they're a different race, but still, there's a different race on Mars. Enjoy the idea. It's fun. It's interesting, and it's 19 pages long. It won't take you long to read it. It took me probably 20 pages for me to reread it this time. I probably took about a page a day, or a page a minute rather. A page a day would be a long time to read anything. But no, it took me about a page a minute to write. And I enjoyed reading it again. So there you are. That's the Martian Crown Jewels. Have you read it? Have you read anything else by Poul Anderson? Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and this review, please feel encouraged to hit that subscribe button. There's going to be so many more of these to follow, from classics in science fiction, fantasy, and horror that we may have forgotten about. And then finally, I just want to thank you for taking some time out of your day and watching my video. We all have so many things happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you invested your time with me, that's something very privileging, and I don't forget about it. So thanks again, and have a good one.